Hey everybody, welcome back to your regularly scheduled bi-yearly J-Man 21 video. So today we are back at it again with another Pokemon Draft League, this time in the MDL, and I'm going to be walking you guys through my draft for this season. If you're interested in what a draft league is or how it works generally, my previous draft analysis video goes through that in a lot more detail, and I will link it in the description below if that's something you're interested in. But in this video, I'm going to be talking more specifically about this specific league, because it's a fair bit different to the one I played in last time. So the Moxie Draft League will be using the Regulation MA double battle rule set from the new Pokemon Champions game. Now that's a lot of words that many people who aren't nerds like me won't understand, so the basics are as follows. The MDL will include any Pokemon available in Pokemon Champions in its current format. This means no legendaries, no mythicals, and no paradox Pokemon. It does, however, allow the use of Mega Evolutions as the primary gimmick for this format. It also means a very limited pool of Pokemon and items, since anything not currently included in Pokemon Champions is off limits. For each week, I will pick a 6 Pokemon team from my full draft of 8 to 10 Pokemon to take with me into a best of 3 match. For each game in that match, I will pick 4 Pokemon from my team to send into a double battle against my opponent. Now, going into the draft for this season, I had learned my lesson from my last draft league. I didn't go in looking for a specific typing or a specific group of typings, as last time that went wrong almost immediately. So instead, I went in with the sound plan of drafting specifically and only Delphox. And I was picking last in the draft order. So naturally, I got Delphox. This pick was pretty simple. Delphox got a new Mega Evolution that was usable in Pokemon Champions, and it was one of the Pokemon I thought had the most potential going into a new draft league for a new game. I didn't put much thought behind it, other than it just being a strong Pokemon I was excited to use. But it has insane special attack, insane speed, and great special defense, all on top of a great offensive typing and the ability to levitate. This Pokemon on paper looks near unbeatable with the right support behind it, and with a great stab spread move with Heat Wave and the possibility of setup with Calm Mind or Nasty Plot. I felt really excited just to see what kind of damage numbers this thing could put out. So since I was picking last in a snake-style draft, it meant I got to pick 2 Pokemon one after another. What this kind of allowed me to do was pick a strong support Pokemon that I thought would work well in tandem with Delphox. I decided that Pokemon would be Sinistra. Sinistra is one of the 3 best redirect Pokemon in the format, since it has access to the move Rage Powder, and while I considered picking Clefable or Mousehold, who both learn Follow Me, I felt that picking a Grass-type Pokemon to aim for a Fire, Water, Grass core made a bit more sense. Sinistra also gets access to healing moves like Life Dew, as well as its ability Hospitality, which heals an ally Pokemon when it switches in. It also gets access to Trick Room, and while my team is almost definitely not able to take advantage of Trick Room because it's so fast, having the option to reverse it or prevent it in the first place with something like Imprison makes this Pokemon really important when I want to set up and sweep with a fast Mega Delphox. By the time the draft got back to me for round 3, a lot of the strong Pokemon had already been picked, which makes sense for having such a small draft pool. I really wanted to grab a strong Earthquake user before they all got taken, and the best one still available at this point was Crocodile. Crocodile is a great Pokemon in general, especially in Draft. And while I was hoping for a returning team member in Garchomp, Crocodile was my number one backup. It has a great attack stat to be spamming out Earthquakes next to a levitating Mega Delphox. And Stab Dark Knockoff is something that no Pokemon ever wants to switch into. It also has access to one of the best abilities in Pokemon with Intimidate, and also has the option of Moxie to boost its attack, and throwing out Choice Scarfed boosted Earthquakes. After Crocodile, my next pick was a surprise even to me. I was really hoping to get access to a decent water type early, and I was looking at things like Azumarill or Primarina, but as I was looking through the draft list, I realized no one had picked Gyarados yet. This was a Pokemon I considered picking over Sinistcha in my second round, and definitely did not expect to see it come all the way back. Gyarados is an incredibly flexible Pokemon. Once again, another Intimidate user, which can allow it to act as a sort of bulky pivot and can use stuff like Scary Face or Thunder Wave to for speed control. But it also has access to Dragon Dance and a 125 attack stat, and it can become a threatening sweeper very quickly. On top of that, its flying typing pairs great with Crocodile because of its ground immunity, and allows it to stay in and set up as Crocodile's threatening the enemy team with Earthquakes. So I was very happy to have this pick come back to me, and I think Gyarados will do great things in this draft. My next draft pick was a Pokemon that I have never in my life used before. I know of it, and I know it's a great Pokemon, but I have never touched it before in my life. I really wanted to pick a Tailwind setter, because Tailwind is so strong in doubles, and my speed tiers currently were a bit lackluster. So there were still a few good options in my previous round, so I didn't feel like I needed to pick one right there and then. But by the time it got back to me, nearly every single one of them was gone. Although, I think this may have turned out as a good thing, because I ended up picking Gliscor, which I didn't even realize before researching Tailwind setters that it even learned Tailwind. And looking back, I think Gliscor is a better fit for my team than any of the other options I was considering. It's not particularly fast, which is typically not what you want in a Tailwind setter, but it's very physically bulky, which means it's likely to stick around to at least get Tailwind off, and it gives me a dedicated physical wall for my team, which I didn't really have yet. It also has a reasonable attack stat, which means it can set up with Swords Dance and gives me a kind of second option as an Earthquake user, while it's also immune to Earthquake as well, so it can sit next to Crocodile since it's a flying type. So Gliscor was one of the last Pokemon I ever expected to be picking, but I think I can see it doing some pretty interesting things in this draft, and I think it fits really well with my team currently. Alright, now, before I continue, because I can see the comments already, I have to address something very important. Okay? I am not a furry. Also, I picked Lopunny. All jokes aside, though, whenever Mega Lopunny has been legal to use, it has been an incredibly strong Pokemon. Its attack stat is crazy, its speed stat is crazy, and with Scrappy, it lets you fake out opposing ghost types, which is incredibly useful. It also means that there is no typing in the game that can resist both normal and fighting stab moves from Mega Lopunny, which makes it incredibly difficult to switch into. Lopunny also gets access to Encore and Helping Hand, meaning it has some great utility uses, even if I don't plan to Mega Evolve it. Like, say, if I'm bringing my Mega Delphox, there isn't a whole lot to say about Lopunny, but the job that it does it very, very well. Now, by the time it came around to my 7th pick, the number of strong Pokemon was dropping very, very quickly. As I said at the start of the video, the draft pool for this format was very, very small. And with 13 other coaches that I was drafting with, that was starting to show very, very quickly. My pick for this round was Mr. Rhyme. Now, I would not be surprised if half of you watching just thought, is that a real Pokemon? Yes. Yes, it is, and I don't think I have ever seen it used competitively. It has a bad typing, it has bad stats, so it's a bad Pokemon, right? Although, I don't think it's as bad as it seems on paper, at least in draft. Its special defense and special attack are not terrible. It's never going to be sweeping anything, but they're both stats I'm kind of missing on my team right now. It also has a decent moveset with plenty of like helpful supporting moves, and it also gets Fake Out, arguably one of the best moves in double battles. So Mr. Rhyme definitely isn't one of my star Pokemon, but I think there are definitely some important matchups where it will prove to be invaluable. And again, having a second Fake Out user on my team is always going to be important. My last few picks were all very low point Pokemon, since I still needed enough Pokemon to fill a few different holes in my team. And one of those holes was a decent Wide Guard user. I chose Bastiodon for this because it covers a couple typings that I don't have yet, and it provides some useful resistances for my team. Steel types are always good, especially in draft. It's also pretty bulky on both defense sides, and it gives me a Pokemon that can threaten Mega Floette, because that Pokemon specifically is a menace into my current team. It has a few other uses like Stealth Rocks and Roar, but these are very, very niche when it comes to doubles. People usually aren't setting up hazards in doubles. My second to last pick was Machamp, for some similar reasons to Bastiodon. It's an additional fighting type for my team, since Lopunny technically isn't a fighting type if I choose not to Mega Evolve it. And it also gets access to Wide Guard if I need it. But Machamp is also a pretty threatening physical attacker. Like, 130 attack stat is great. And its 55 speed is sometimes a good thing when I'm facing up against a hard Trick Room team. With no guard as an ability, it hits for huge damage with stuff like Dynamic Punch, as well as having a decent coverage moves with stuff like Ice Punch and Stone Edge for flying types. Machamp's a pretty solid Pokemon for a lot of different reasons, so I was pretty happy to be able to pick it up this late in the draft like this. And now, finally, we reach my last draft pick. With a whole 2 points remaining, you would expect it to be just as impressive as Spidops was last season. And if you thought that, you would be wrong, because it is much, much worse than Spidops. Simisear, as a competitive Pokemon, has about 2 redeeming qualities. That is Fake Out and Yawn. Both are great moves, but this Pokemon is 1 point for a reason. It does nothing else. Maybe it can set up Sun for Delphox at some point. I don't know. I think at this point in the draft, there was about 4 1-point Pokemon that were left, and I think 2 of them were the Elemental Monkeys. And while I considered not picking anything just out of spite, I figured that at least having something that can use Fake Out is probably better than one less team member. So, I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy with how my draft turned out. I had no real expectations or plan going into it, which was a very different experience to my last league. I never knew what my next pick would be or what my draft was going to look like at the end, but I think I came out with a pretty strong group of Pokemon and some pretty cool strategies in mind, which I won't go fully over here because I don't want to, show everything to my opponents before matches even start. But I think I've got a pretty decent group of support Pokemon to sort of back up, like, Delphox and Lopunny, who just hit so hard and so quickly. And you can expect a lot of earthquaking with this team. That's kind of what I was going for, which I think will be fun. So tell me what you think down below. Tell me if you like the team. I think I like the team. I think I'm happy with what I came out with. It's not what I expected, but, that is how it is in draft, I suppose. It never goes to plan. So some of the members of the draft Discord have asked me if I intend on doing a breakdown of my opponent's draft teams, which I think is a really good idea. I like that idea. But in the interest of not making a 2-hour video talking about 13 different draft teams, I think I'll instead do a breakdown of each team as I face up against them each week. This kind of means I can also talk through my prep a bit for the matchup, and how my team faces up against my opponent. This will mean a bit more effort on my end to push these videos out, but I will do my best, and hopefully it will end with more interesting and in-depth videos for all of you. There's honestly a lot of cool Pokemon that aren't picked yet. I could definitely have some interesting trades later in the season if I want to switch things up. I'm honestly surprised that... Oh my god. Holy... Guys. Okay, go away. I don't have to worry about it this season. Oh my god, my trauma, I can ignore it. Holy shit. Now, here is the part of the video where I tell you how I'm gonna start being more committed to YouTube and start making more videos this time around. But instead, I'm gonna skip that part and finally accept that I am simply a budget Michael Reeves. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in another 2 years, I guess.